Hello, everybody, and welcome to Weird World. All right, I'm Jeff,
I'm Beth.
and we're coming here with a new one, a new story. Here about knowing when your child is lying to you by looking at their hands.
Okay, take note.
Take notes. All right, body language experts, top signs your child is lying. His lips are moving.
Kind of like lawyers.
No, it's all about their hands. We may develop our own ways to work out whether our kids are lying or not, but one expert says that there are certain telltale signs which will give away whether or not your child is being truthful or not.
Guy.
Yeah, sometimes parents probably wish they had a manual to find out when their children are lying. It can be so hard to catch your kids out in a porky. I assume that's basically meaning that it's a lie. Especially because we all love to believe our children are little angels and would never do such a thing.
Never. He's a good boy.
A study from the University of Waterloo, which observed children in their own homes, found that 96% of young children lie at some point. All children lie, eventually. So if your child is lying, you're not alone. Thankfully, a body language expert has revealed the telltale signs that kids are trying to pull the wool over their parents' eyes. Darren Stanton, who has 20 years of experience. Okay, the only reason why I guess there'd be, at least I would ever consider somebody to be an expert in children. How many kids you got?
Right.
If you don't have any kids, shut the hell up. Has explained that lies are connected to emotions. Ultimately, yes. I can agree with that.
Right.
You know, you don't want to get hurt or any number of things. All right. Speaking to Fabulous, he explained that if a child is telling a white lie, then there are things that you can look out for to catch them. Dun dun dun. One of the things which could be a red flag is your child hiding their hands away when you're speaking to them. All right? If your child is telling the truth, their voice will be clear and their hand gestures will be as animated as they usually are.
Right. Especially if they're Italian.
That's truer than you know. However, if your child is telling a fib, they will change the pitch of their voice or even place their hands underneath the table. You can't see me. All right. Darren said they may place their hands underneath the table because there is an expression in psychology called the open palm gesture. So when someone does not show us their hands, it is often seen as a negative trait. Meanwhile, fidgeting.
Don't judge me.
I judge. See the judgment? Fidgeting is also a key indicator that a child may not be telling the whole truth. So in this scenario, toying with cutlery or food could be a red flag. Other things he suggested could be indicators that a child is lying, a refusal to make eye contact. That's true with humans in general.
Right.
Answering any questions instantly, and putting hands over their mouths. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a Joker.
Right.
All right. Yeah, it's a general thing. Being a father and having also dated plenty of moms with kids. Yeah, children and stuff like that, they get very fidgety. A lot of times, kids will get fidgety as hell because they get uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, yeah, hands and stuff would be a good one. Fidgeting. Voice, and eye contact.
Right.
Yeah, but most of the time, that's true for humans, not just children. So, somebody's not wanting to look at anywhere but looking in your eyes or whatever. It's usually a bad sign, right?
Right.
I mean, how are you gonna be able to take maybe think that I'm telling you the truth and stuff when I'm not looking at you, right?
Right.
Because it's true. All right. So most of the time, the kids can get away with it because of the simple fact that, well, we don't want to believe our kids are lying to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that. How about you? What experiences do you have in catching people lying to you?
Experiences that I've had, and this is true, is that whenever a person is lying, they will, as they're lying to you, even if they're looking at you in your eyes, they'll always look to the left when they're telling a lie.
Well, actually, it's not necessarily true.
I heard that.
Yes, but the reason is because it's just like if you ever like going over, it's like you can even go on YouTube for this. There's a couple people that are trained in like negotiations, etc.
Well, yeah.
And they'll tell you, a lot of times where they'll like tell or ask questions to get a response. They're harmless questions, ones that they really don't care what the answers are.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but they want to see what your reaction is. All right, they might even test it another time, ask you another similar question in order to make sure that is your sign. All right, just like most people and stuff. Whenever they're recounting or they're thinking of stuff, most people usually look up in order to try and remember.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that they're going back into a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is actually down. Whenever I'm thinking of something, I usually look down, and then there's some trying to, then there's, which has actually sometimes gotten me in trouble. But my bosses always go, oh, yeah, we know you're thinking. You're just lost in your head, because I'll just start going boom, 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 and I'll recite something because I'm going back in memory. I look down instead of up, so it's whenever I'm going to a memory, I look down. It's just my thing. Most people look up. I look down. But there's also telltale signs, different things. Like if you're asking somebody what happened, like yesterday. Well, what did you have for dinner yesterday? If they're being serious, they'll give you their sign. Because if they're actually going to answer you honestly, then they'll do whatever it is that they're going to be doing.
Right.
And then if you're wanting to verify, just like some people, just like normally, so if you are playing with like your chin or whatever, whatever, it's usually a sign of what? Lying, because you're trying to cover up, this whatever. But not always. Some people and stuff, just like crossing arms. If you're asking a question and their arms are crossed, and so a lot of times they're being defensive.
Right.
Well, what if they're just cold?
I mean, that could be that too, or like,
Well, no. That's how they test it, right? They'll test the thing by asking questions that they really don't give a shit about. The only thing that they're asking these questions for is to see what your physical response is. Because if you're asking me a question and so I'm like this, and so when you ask me a different thing, and so but I'm still in this position, it's probably because I'm cold, not because I'm being defensive. So then, of course, what do you do with that information? You discount my arms. Because, okay, I'm doing something different with my arms but it has nothing to do with being a defensive mechanism.
Right.
It's because I'm cold.
Right.
But that's how negotiators do a bunch of that stuff. Whatever. You can be able to just YouTube a bunch of the, some negotiators and stuff. There's some really, professional, like FBI guy. There's the FBI. He used to be an FBI negotiator. That kind of stuff, whatever. And he just has a whole videos and stuff like that on, all the telltale signs and what you look for and so that you can discount and blah, blah, blah. But I like the children one because it's instinctual. They haven't had a training in how to lie.
Right.
So most of their stuff is just open.
Right.
That's why, of course, they always say there's, children are the most horrible liars.
Right. And there's also a saying that if you didn't lie, you wouldn't have to remember so much.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yep.
That's why even growing up, however, I generally always refuse to lie because I don't want to keep that in my head of, okay, what I tell this person, and I got to keep this story up because that's how you get caught. Mm-hmm. I know, because I catch my one buddy all the freaking time. He'll say something, I'll remember it and go, oh, is that what you're telling me now? Because this is MO. He always lies and it's so stupid. All right. And then, of course, like the next day or even a couple hours later, bring it up again a little bit. Guess what? It gives me a different story.
Right.
It's like, and then it's, bring it up a couple more times and so in order to be able to see all the different stories. And then the fun part is trying to go, okay, which one's real? Or at least as close to real as possible. Sometimes, though, none of them are. You find out, years later. I just consider it a game with him. It's like, okay, what story is actually real? But all right. So, any thoughts? Last thoughts on this one?
Well, I don't have children, so it's not like have to pay attention to what their hands are doing. But
Yeah, usually fidgety. Girls and stuff like that usually get really fidgety.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And about the people that have kids, so like when I'm babysitting them or something like that, I can be like, yeah, you lying and see what they do.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, especially if you're gonna call them on it.
Right.
Just to be able to see what they do. Because if, they get more nervous and stuff like that. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, they're getting caught. What? What do you mean? Sometimes or whatever. Sometimes when you're catching kids in a lie, it's so hard to not laugh at some of the responses they give and answers. It is, wow.
What's the most wackiest response that you ever got?
Oh, ooh, that depends on child. Well, like for example, so my first kid, right? Of course, it was years ago, obviously. But this thing, so I still just laugh, is that one time we're in the mall. We're over in Lakeside. Mm-hmm. And we're walking around and we're doing something. Camera, we're out. We're there for a reason, whatever it was. But I happen to notice I'm going, when did you get that? Because he had something in his hands he was messing with. Mm-hmm. I don't recognize it.
Right.
I'm going to know, where the hell did you get that? Huh? And, and it was like, what's that? And he tells me this story and stuff about, you have to forgive me for the particulars, okay? It was a few years ago. But he basically tells me a story about how he got it from his mom. His mom gave it to him. Oh. Really? Except, and this is my point, really, your mom got it for you. That's why I don't recognize it. Yeah. All right. But I picked you up from your mom hours ago. You didn't have the toy.
Right.
Did you hide it somewhere I didn't know anything about? That look of the oh shit that are went across is like, well, it's priceless. Now, I had no idea where it came from. Nothing. I wasn't going to go too far. Now, did I allow him to keep the toy? No. I made him leave it. Because we were in and out of stores all, I had no idea where this could have even possibly have come from.
Right.
but I wasn't going to allow him to be able to benefit from it either.
Right.
So I, made him put it off, put it over and stuff. One of the things, because there used to be a kids area, right, in the mall.
Yes, I think there still is.
And, and there's kids everywhere. And of course, I didn't allow him to play there because now he doesn't deserve it because he did something he wasn't supposed to. But I did also make him leave the toy in there where some other kids are going to be able to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So that he knew, but I won't be able to have it. Yeah, you're right. Because you don't deserve it. And you're going to give it to somebody else who's going to be doing it, and you're going to know what it's like, aren't you? I've done that a few times to a few children. Well, not of course exactly the same way. But just as long as they understand and stuff of it, the situation and why and everything else, that kind of thing. But he never did that afterwards. But yeah, that was one of them. Yeah, there was. I was dating this one woman. She had a daughter. And I'm not used to raising daughters. I'm used to boys.
Right.
All right. But, boys, easy, no problem. No problems. I can raise boys, no issues. A lot of experience. But she had a daughter, and I was kind of like, and she was a young little thing too. So it was like, not exactly sure, exactly what to do with it, a lot more emotional and, blah, 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 blah. And generally I don't like being alone with other people's kids because there's like, what if they act up or this, they're not my kids. My kids, hey, that's easy.
Right.
you're mine and you're time for you to pay the piper. Other people's kids, different story. They're not mine, So there's, I got stuck literally having to be able to watch, her daughter. All right. And it was like, okay. And, I was uncomfortable about it, but I was like, all right, I'll just get over it. But anyways, she did something and, it was right. It was the dog. She also had a dog, and the dog was a nice dog. It was a really good dog. It was a fine. The animal was really nice, no issues. But she was still young, right? And kids are notorious for beating up on animals.
Right.
All right, not necessarily kids' fault. No. They also got to learn and stuff like that, how hard or whatever. And sometimes they don't know their own strengths. And there's a bunch of little things depending on specifics of age. But, she basically really grabbed a hold of the dog, the hair specifically. Oh, yeah. The dog yelped. But the dog, I gave kudos to that dog. He didn't turn around and bite her, nothing. He just yelped and just took off. It actually came up into the couch. It was trying to bury itself behind me. All right, because he knew, I was like, oh, what'd you do? And exactly that's what I did was, what did you do? He goes, what? Acting all innocent. I didn't do nothing.
Right.
Yeah, no, the dog just yelped. You definitely did something. There's no questions about you doing something. You did it. But yeah, that was also a little one. I mean, all kids do something. Little parts and stuff like that. But either way. So anything new instead of just me retelling, watching children's stories? That's a no. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So like, share, and comment below, and I'll get with you in some of the next one.
Okay, bye.